Hello, everyone. Today we have with us Edwin Choi, CEO at Jet Fuel Agency. I've been trying to, get hold of Edwin for a long time now, but finally, I have him, on the show. Edwin, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I am excited as well.
Well, Edwin, like before we dive deep into like your story and what you do at Jet Fuel, it would be great if you could introduce yourself for our viewers.
Yeah, for sure. Hi everyone. My name is Edwin Choi. I'm the CEO and founder of Jet Fuel Agency. When we are an e-commerce marketing agency specializing in paid search, paid social, and email and SMS marketing. So my background, I've been in digital marketing since 2009. Started off in a digital agency out of college, was there for 2.5 years, migrated to become VP of marketing and ecom at a e-commerce company. We scaled that company from 5 million to 30 million in 4 years. Then now as CEO of Jet Fuel Agency, I lead an amazing team. And then we profitably help grow e-commerce companies and have a blast doing it.
Well, from a QA intern at Mercury Insurance to founding your
Yeah.
own agency, what I want to understand is like what brought you to this career path.
Yeah. So I got my job at Mercury Insurance because my friend's uncle was able to get us jobs, right? And I
Oh, okay.
was in college, and it was a pretty good job at the time, right? And then in hindsight, I realized a lot of what I learned for that career path turned out to be very useful, right? You have to be very detail oriented. You have to think outside the box, right? Because I was finding
Yeah,
bugs all day for insurance software. That was my job.
yeah.
Obviously the QA path, it just wasn't for me. I was actually quite good at my job. I was finding tons of bugs. I think I
Hmm.
was the number one or number two bug catcher in terms of volume on the entire team. But it was just not something that got my passion going. So at the same time, while I was going to college and as a QA intern, was helping pay for my college bills.
Yeah.
At the same time, I was taking marketing courses in college and I was loving it, right? I love learning about customer personas and how to psychologically attract them to do something, right? So I started reading, and the period between 2004 and 2008, a lot of exciting things were happening in digital advertising,
Hmm.
right? SEO and paid search were really coming into their own, and it was
Yeah.
starting to become a viable career path, right?
Right.
So while I was at Mercury Insurance, I was starting to do my research. And
Okay.
then I decided to jump ship. I just changed paths, right? So instead of going the QA and IT type of route,
Hmm.
I left and then I became an intern at a digital marketing agency.
Okay.
So this was during the Great Recession. So it was during 2009. Uh, no one was hiring, right? I submitted 110 resumes for marketing internships. I only got 2 responses, right? And then this digital marketing agency was one of the 2 responses that I got. And they said they couldn't pay me. They had no money to pay me, right? And I said, that's okay. I will work for free. And they said, how many hours do you want to work for free per week? You want to work 5 hours, 10 hours? I said, sign me up for 40. I'll work 40 hours a week for free. So they were just flabbergasted, right? So at this point, I know I had only 2 options. I could either work for free and do so as long as I possibly can, but pick up so many skills and so many pieces of experience that I can leave and find another better digital marketing job. Or the
Yeah.
second option is I could be so useful that they would have no choice but to hire me. So
Right.
luckily, the second option happened. Within a month and a half, they hired me, and then I was able to begin my career. So once I began my career, I stuck around for 2.5 years. I was managing 13, 14 clients at once, doing learning everything about SEO, PPC,
Hmm.
living and breathing it. And then I transitioned to an in-house role, and that's where I really touch every piece of digital marketing, right? So as a VP of marketing, what rolled up under me, it was paid, organic,
Yeah.
email, affiliates, marketplaces, the whole shebang. But then eventually, purchasing, operations, design, business intelligence, all of those also rolled up to me at the end. So I got a really great holistic 360-degree view of how to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, I left that position and I started Jet Fuel Agency, which was my chance to answer the question, well, if I could do this for one company, could I do
Yeah.
it for more than one company?
Yeah.
And that's how Jet Fuel Agency was founded.
I understand. Well, like one thing that I want to understand is, uh, like you focus on a particular niche, like it's e-com and that too, like particular niche. And then, like services wise, also like, it's pure paid and it's email marketing. Was this niche focus from day one when you started Jet Fuel, or did it eventually happen?
It started from day one. The niche piece of it, e-commerce is in my blood, right? I have always loved the idea of selling something, right? So even when I was a teenager, I was always trying to sell something, right? Because I love the feeling of exchanging some goods for dollars, right? So even to this day, I do a lot of eBay, I do a lot of different things because I'm so passionate about it, right? So I knew I wanted to do something I was passionate about, because if you were to start a company and
Uh-huh.
you're going to put in those long hours, you better love every single second of it, right? That's something you can control. So that's how we walked into this. And then for paid media and email, those were two. If I had to pick a couple of channels to focus on that I
Uh-huh.
loved the most, those were the two ones I loved the most. Like I love the whole shebang, but I love those two more than more than the others.
I understand. And I think, like people that focus, like on a particular niche and, like a particular channel, I think like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a very good thing for a lot of new, like, marketers or people that, are looking to start agencies. There actually is more growth, the trajectory of growth when you're trying to niche down, and also then, trying to focus on one or two channels is more as
Mm-hmm.
compared to, trying to offer everything under the roof. Like,
Yes.
your profitability suffers. The biggest thing is manpower, right? I mean, how do you manage those different skill sets? Now, if you're, focusing on a service or a particular channel where you yourself are passionate about, or you yourself have the knowledge, it gives you so much more control on everything. And, ultimately your growth trajectory is much faster.
You're 100% right, because what's that famous quote? It takes 10,000 hours to achieve mastery, right? Well, it's easier to achieve mastery in two disciplines than 15 disciplines, and the same holds true for your team, right? It's better to train surgical ninjas in a couple of things than to try to make everyone good at everything, which is just too tough.
Absolutely. Well, Edwin, tell us your favorite client story.
Yes. So right when we started the agency, we were very fortunate and very lucky to have an amazing food brand arrive, right? And this was a brand that was iconic. It was doing really well in retail. It was growing rapidly, but they did zero online marketing, just zero. And they did zero because it was a hard brand to sell online, right? The cost of fulfill order was quite high because it had to be a product that was refrigerated, right? So that's
Uh-huh.
quite challenging when we think about margins in e-commerce. But over the course of many years, and we still work with them to this day, we're
Mm-hmm.
able to have these incredible creative strategies to overcome challenges like that. We work very closely with them on margins. We work very closely with them on increasing conversion rates and boosting their AOV. So every order was as profitable as humanly possible. We would drive second, third, fourth, fifth purchases to drive up customer LTV, and everything just started clicking. And they were doubling every single year without fail. And it was just amazing to work so closely with a passionate team, and everything's firing all cylinders. And that is really my favorite client story, because we've been able to do some amazing things. We are able to launch brand new ideas such as limited flavors that drew a
Uh-huh.
lot of buzz online. We had days where we're breaking sales records, doing 1 million in revenue in one day, running some of these big campaigns. So it's just a client story I hold close to my heart.
I understand. And I think, like more than, like, again, like client stories that are, like out of the box strategies or successful are always your favorite. But I think
Yeah.
also like your initial clients, I mean, they're always so close to your heart. And, like if
Yeah.
those clients kind of, continue remaining with you for a long time, I don't think anything else beats that.
Oh yeah, yeah, because they took a chance on you when you were really tiny, right? You
Right.
you didn't really have much of a reputation to speak of, and that's something that we'll always kind of appreciate.
Absolutely. And I think also like, like in our agency business, like it's very important to maintain those relationships as well. I think,
Hmm.
I mean, that's kind of, the defining factor, between success and failure. Because again, now, you can't control Google, right? I mean, let's say you're doing SEO. I mean, you can't control Google. Yeah, fine. I mean, you can do a good on-page strategy, you can do a good link building strategy, or, you can do a good paid campaign, but then at the end of the day, like there can be like months or times where things don't go your way. Like if you have those relationships intact, if you are transparent with your clients, you're setting the right expectations, you know I mean, then only can you maintain those relationships and that client retention. Otherwise, like in our business, if you as an agency are just transactional and don't maintain that relationship, I don't think, I mean, it helps in any way.
Yes, yes. I mean, in fact, I tell all of our clients this: you're gonna have good months, but I want to stress is guaranteed that you're going to have some bad months, right?
Absolutely.
I think the most important part is that you work with a partner that helps you understand why this month is a bad month. How can
Yes.
you lessen the impact? And someone who's proactive and just relentless in trying to turn that trend around, right?
Right,
Because
right.
yeah,
Like, yeah, in those monthly reports, like talk about the things that went wrong first, show that
yes,
concern, show that you actually proactively have saw that, like you have seen it before the client and you know what to do to kind of get over it. I mean, that's what the
yes,
client expects from you as an agency. You can't just
absolutely.
sugarcoat it, and you can't like, just imagine, okay, fine, the client would not realize it. you know I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely correct.
Yep. Yep. Because we're stewards of their dollars, right? We have a fiduciary responsibility to do the best decision and to make the best moves possible for that organization moving forward. So yeah, exactly. We think the same way.
Right. Now, as an AdWords specialist, like, like what are the common mistakes you find e-com, businesses do while, like setting up their
Hmm.
campaigns or running the strategy?
Yeah, I can think of several off the top of my head because we audit a ton of accounts. I mean, the first one is, do you have your conversion tracking correctly installed? And I say that because, obviously a lot of clients do have it installed, but do you have the right attribution window?
Yeah.
Is attribution model working for your business? If you're running on a last touch basis, you're running a business on that, but your Google Ads account is linear, you're going to have a mismatch in your decision making. Second part that I always see is your Google shopping feed optimized? So a lot of people will throw the shopping feed up. It's automated. They just set it and forget it. But every title, every description for every SKU can be optimized, right? And you have a very strong SEO organic background. You know the importance of that. And then third is, are you taking into consideration the entire funnel? So a lot of people will throw up their branded and their prospecting, but are you retargeting in the appropriate way? Are you treating someone who just came to the site and abandoned with
Yeah.
$40 worth of product in their cart differently than someone that abandoned 90 days ago without product, right? And then are you asking customers to come back and make that second, third, fourth order? I think most accounts I've audited, they don't have that piece, but that's low hanging fruit. It's easy to convince a happy person to come back and order a second time. And that has tremendous return on ad spend. So those are the common things I see.
Right. What are your go-to tools for reporting? Because in paid campaigns, you're actually
Mm-hmm.
like, like spending money, and that
Yeah.
reporting becomes very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have Google Data Studio as our main reporting tool because it has so many API hooks. It's just really easy to use. very flexible. And we pair that with another tool called Supermetrics. So
Yes.
Supermetrics has something like 30 or 40 connectors the last time I checked. So it takes off a lot of that work in creating these connections between something like Google Data Studio and some other data source, right? And then last but not least, we also have some in-house software that we use, right? So for example, if a CPA for a client goes beyond what we're comfortable with, we can have a Slack bot tell everyone that, hey, CPA is looking too hot today, or you're overpacing today, and it'll alert everyone in the Slack chat so someone could take a look at it.
Right. I mean, Supermetrics is really cool. So I have a friend, an agency owner, and partner who is like very, 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 like high, like on paid. So we just collaborated with them and did like a research article on Supermetrics. So I really believe that Supermetrics is a really, 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 helpful tool when it comes to reporting and, like managing your paid spends.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh, Talking about e-commerce, like what is your benchmark e-com site?
That's a great question. So it depends on your vertical, but my favorite one is probably ancient nutrition, right? So ancient nutrition is super rapidly growing, but not only are they super rapidly growing, I know for a fact that their team is incredibly data driven. They do tons of A/B testing. They have a ton of respect for the team there. So when I go to their site experience, I know that every single little detail has been tested, right? And then you can tell who's testing and who's not because you can look at their code and see what they're doing. So yeah, that is definitely kind of my benchmark site that I often look to for inspiration or to get some ideas from.
Right, right. With Google continuing to limit data and making us rely more on its own machine learning, how do you see, like Google paid change?
Yeah, Google Paid has changed a lot, right? Like back when I started Google Paid 2008, 2009, everything was a manual lever, right? You had to be technically very savvy to squeeze out as much ROAS as possible out of your account. So fast forward to today, Google has really taken a lot of those levers away, right? They've taken a lot of those levers away. Everything is becoming automated. So as a marketer, what is it that you can do in response to this, right? I think the first part is you have to really understand the algorithm, right? What decisions is Google trying to make on your behalf? If you understand the levers for those, you might not be able to pull that lever directly, but you can guide the algorithm to your desired result, right? It's almost like you're a shepherd and you're herding sheep to the right place. You don't really control where the sheep goes, but you can sort of guide it to that right place. I think that's the first part. The second part is, what is it that you can control? Like, what can you always focus on? You can always focus on conversion rate, your site experience, your offer, your product variety. What do you show to the customer first? What do you show to the customer last? Like those things you can always focus on. So even though you can't pull some of those old levers on the Google side, you can always improve your conversion rates and customer experience. And that's going to pay dividends, not just for paid, but for all of your channels as well, right? And the third part of it is, okay, well, maybe Google has directly taken a lever away from you. You could indirectly still control that, right? There's automation, there's scripts, there's processes. So maybe let's say if one day Google takes day parting away, right? Well, I know that if they take day parting away, the immediate thing our team's going to think of is, how can I build like a Zapier script, or how can I build an automated Google rule to try to get that same behavior? So even though they took one thing away, I really think you could probably get it back in some other fashion.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you just talked about, being data driven, and like data is so much important, like for optimizing campaigns, for conversion, conversion optimization. Now, when you are optimizing a landing page, what are the crucial metrics you look at, or what is the data that, okay, fine, these are the main things I definitely look at when I'm optimizing a landing page?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first part of it was when you look at the landing page, how is it contributing to your profitability and your goals as a whole, right? Are people having a high percentage of pass through from that landing page to your next desired page? I mean, that's the first thing we look at. We look at engagement metrics. How much are they scrolling down? Are they scrolling down 25%? Are they scrolling down 75%? What is their time on site? Look at the heat map. What are they clicking on? You look at user video recordings. How are they behaving on it? You look at exit rates and bounce rates. And then last but not least, you also look at its contribution, right? So if one landing page has $1 of revenue contribution per visit, and the second landing page has $10 of revenue contribution per visit, what is it that second page is doing so much better than the first page? So those are some of the metrics we look at.
Right. What about like click fraud protection? Any tools you use or you suggest?
Yeah, I really like ClickCease. So if you look up ClickCease, they have a great tool and it's very effective at that.
Yeah, we use ClickCease as well. Right.
Awesome.
Also, again, when you talk about doing paid, right? I mean, like people who have, let's say, started new, and are just testing like their campaigns. There are cases where, let's say they don't see results in the first few weeks, or let's say, first couple of months. They think that, okay, fine, paid is not for them, or, they can't be profitable. Like, in your opinion, how long, does a campaign take to give positive ROI, or like how do you handle such situations?
Yeah, I mean, the answer for how long depends on your spend, right? So if you're spending $100,000 in your first months, then within the first months, you should get some really positive traction because you have so much data, right? But in comparatively, if you're spending $1,000 a month, it might take you 3 or 4 months. It's just going to take you much longer to get enough data to make the right decisions, right? So I think the overall opinion I would give is, you're not going to start something new and be successful within the first couple of weeks. Like, very few people are able to do that, right? So I'm not going to be able to start playing baseball tomorrow and within 3 or 4 weeks start hitting home runs all the time, right? That's not what we look for as marketers. What we look for is, are we walking in the right direction? Are we learning about what we're doing? Are we correcting ourselves? Are we putting ourselves in a position to succeed and help the numbers? And if you do that consistently, it may take 4 weeks, it may take 14 weeks. But if you do that consistently, you will eventually get to that goal metric and your positive ROI, right? So it's not a question of when we can, or if we can make it profitable. It's more so, how long will it take and how much budget will we have to potentially accelerate that process?
Right. What are your thoughts on local search ads?
Local search ads can be really powerful, right? Especially if you're a small business. Local search ads, like how we would run local search ads, we don't do a ton of it, but obviously I do audit a ton of accounts. I think things like geoparting, making sure that the right places for your business are on and the wrong places are off, are really key. Obviously, optimizing your local SEO is really important. Are you showing high in the maps? Things of that nature. Things like day parting become even more important, right? Because a lot of businesses, if you're local, you have certain business hours. And I think it's really critical to also have call tracking, right? A lot of local businesses run on phone calls. Are you doing call tracking appropriately, making the right decisions there? So if you're a local business and you're doing all those things, you're going to be top 1% against the competition, right? Because you're using a lot of sophistication against competitors that probably, they're not using all that sophistication.
Right. What are your thoughts on chatbots?
I'm bullish on chatbots. Right? So the reason why I'm bullish on it is because they're starting to get to a point where they're highly sophisticated. They have really great branching of your responses, great tracking, great engagement. If you think about chatbots, they're really kind of like email, but more interactive and with a much higher open rate. Right. But customers are getting really used to it. Right. A lot of customer service is run on chatbots now. A lot of fulfillment is now run chatbots. Hey, your package may be late. Press 2 to cancel. Right. So a lot of stuff like that is the customer base is getting more trained to interact with chatbots, and I think that's going to be a good thing, right? So I think one of the big misses is that I think Facebook should have paid more attention to WhatsApp and really integrating WhatsApp as a chatbot to its overall ad ecosystem, but it hasn't really paid much attention to that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Any special tip that you would give our audience that they could use and benefit from?
Man, I think one of my favorite tips is there's a software called Hotjar.
Yeah.
And it has a free plan, right? For that free plan, you get 1,000 visitor recordings a month. So just by installing that tool and seeing how customers roam around on your site and where they're leaving and what they like, that will probably bring you a mountain of insights to help you improve your business. I mean, that's one of the first ones. I mean, the second one is, I would really encourage everyone to learn Google Analytics, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a master, but just look at some of the most basic reports, like the acquisition report, behavior report. And if you can understand those and you understand who's coming to your site and where they're coming from and where they're going, that's really powerful. I think that will drive a lot of insights to your overall business. And the third thing, the third tip that I would highly recommend everyone look at is to go and look at your personas. Who are your best customers? Are they 44-year-old females or are they 25-year-old males? And then I would ask for all the creative you're showing them, is that speaking to that customer directly? I imagine you would want to speak to those two different people very differently. So if you nail that down, I think that's a quick win that most businesses can benefit from.
Right, right. Well, Edwin, thank you for your time. But before you go, in the end, we like playing a quick rapid fire round of 5 questions.
Yeah.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Relentless, hardworking, innovative.
If a movie was made on you, what genre would it be?
Thriller.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Batman.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
Batman and morning person. Well, that's interesting.
Paradox.
The last book you read?
It is the Everything Store.
All right. Well, Edwin, thank you so much. It was fun chatting with you.
Oh, absolutely. It was total blast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.